This is a really nice rock rake we have here, but it broke actually for the second time. The first fracture we fixed with 2 screws and some wood glue. Raking some gravel here though, it broke again, and we're going to fix it with epoxy, which we've used for other tools and works really well. And the first thing we're going to do is wire wheel out all of the extra wood glue and then epoxy it all up. This is just 2-part epoxy, and after it's thoroughly mixed, you can go ahead and slather it on to both halves and then put them together and clamp them. It's mixed, so I'll add it on. Make sure I cover all of the surfaces, especially in here where there's a lot of grooves. I want to make sure all of that is coated. I did end up having to mix a little bit extra, and whenever you're mixing the epoxy, you want to make sure that you don't do it on paper or cardboard, although sometimes that can be pretty convenient. The paper and the cardboard will absorb a lot of the resin, so it can be a little bit wasteful. Both halves have epoxy now on them, so I'm just going to try to fit them together as best I can. You can see a lot here is oozing out, and I'll get a piece of tissue paper, toilet paper, and clean that up. So I'm going to wipe off most of this. If you want, I suppose you could leave it on and grind it off afterwards, but I find it easier to clean up most of it here while it's wet, uncured. It won't stick to your clamps or your vise as much. We're going to be clamping this with the vise. We have fixed a handheld sledgehammer using a vise, and it's still working great, so we're going to clamp it, not too tightly, you don't want to damage the wood, but it's held together now, and then we'll let that cure. When you're clamping it, you want to go tight until you see it starting to ooze out of the crack here. The epoxy has had plenty of time to set, and although you can still see the crack, I'm sure some sanding would make the handle look just as great as it did before. And the best part is, it feels pretty sturdy, and it can be used again as a rake.